a Zach, maybe an Elise a little bit later on. Malrang, no secret that he loves to play that Lee Sin. We'll see if the Tigers opt to ban that out instead. Ever8 still thinking about their third ban.
You've got Caitlyn and Lee Sin being up, so it would be wise for ROX Tigers to ban out the Caitlyn, not let any of these picks happen. And
Twisted Fate.
Yeah. Well, we have to address the fact that right now Doran's rings did get nerfed, right? So now the unique mana regen passive is no longer there. So mid laners that could previously benefit from that, have an early, strong laning phase, can't have that anymore. But most importantly, the top laners, champions like Gragas, that have those triple ring builds that are so annoying to deal with, can no longer get away with that. So Twisted Fate, another crazy counter pick, but I want to address what happened on Sunday. We saw Akali top, Mordekaiser top, Fiora mid, which wasn't the first time we've seen it in the world, but we also saw Alistar, and that complete shift of the meta inspires teams to try that themselves. And so we can expect picks that are enablers to come out, because all these picks don't have a lot of crowd control. What they need is setup, and those champions like Alistar, Zac, Gragas, Galley are the enablers that allow these picks to happen. And Shen is rising up in the ranks as one of those picks, but the Tigers will go ahead and take away Renekton and Caitlyn, and Sangin has been a great carry for them so far in the late game. So this makes complete sense, and I'm worried forever as to what their answer is going to be. But with Elise for early game power, they will have firepower to match.
Yeah, they're looking towards Malrang once again to be active early game and get that pressure on the lanes. And here we go again. You guys might be surprised with the Jhin pick, but we are on 7-12. Jhin with some slight buffs. We've been seeing him over in NA, and he's picked up ahead of Ashe, ahead of Varus, up against the Caitlyn.
And the Jhin does offer that ability to engage onto the Caitlyn with a little bit more reliability. Not only do you have your 4 shots on your ultimate, your deadly flourish to lock her down, and there we go. That's that enabler that we were talking about. The Shen to make sure that you can allow your team to succeed. It's a great matchup topside against Renekton when you have that at least to pair with. So a strong topside and then a bottom lane that can assist in a dive from afar. And now the Gragas comes out. We've got some pretty sick combinations with 2 different strategies and approaches to this game. So explosives will be in order for this matchup.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the new patch and seeing what it brings in. We're already seeing a slightly different draft from what we're used to. And we are jumping into ban phase number 2. We'll see what these guys do want to target.
And supports that allow dives to happen in the bottom lane is what ROX want to deny. So the Thresh is a great ban here. It shouldn't be fancying anything like a Tahm Kench or even a Karma, as Karma did get nerfed. Her shield no longer is as strong as it used to be. However, they can ban it themselves, as it does allow the Karma to the Caitlyn to survive. I think Tahm Kench would be a strong pick for them this time around against the Global, so I expect that to be Ever's second ban rotation. And a Braum here would be a cool combination for Jhin. It's not so much of a power duo, but it does offer the ability to punish individuals quite heavily if they step out of bounds.
Zyra going to be banned here, in fact. Another nice engage kind of support if you can land that root into the Stranglethorns.
The Zyra makes sense, because had you locked in Zyra, Ever's composition would have had a different form, where not only can it go for these insane dives in the bottom side, it can also defend against the diving attempt of Gragas and Renekton. So removing that champion pigeonholes Ever into making sure that their composition tries to just focus on bottom lane and perhaps hit a late game time where Caitlyn will be will just take over the game.
Looking here for the Tigers' 4th pick, it's going to be Keys Bard. We've seen him play this a bunch of times before. Definitely one of the supports that we see it play more often than the others. Him and Max definitely like to pick that up pretty often.
And remember that Bard is a great answer to Jhin. Similar to Nami, when Jhin opens up with a curtain call, you simply pop your ultimate and deny it right away. So it's a good answer to that. And here's going to come out the Braum from Ever, and there is going to be Braum Jhin, so much pick power on the side of Ever. They're going to have to crank up the heat in the early game if they want to walk away with a victory. They have the tools to do so, and now the last pick in mid lane will have to speak to that, and Orianna would make sense in just helping out a team composition have more than one route, but it won't likely have too much pressure in the mid lane, so Cassiopeia will instead be the lock away, and Septed, one of his favorite champions. He's been
the trick. The trickster.
I tricked myself. I was calling the what? Wait a minute. Wow.
Septed tricking himself now.
There it is.
Picking the Lucian mid.
Okay, Lucian. So double AD carry, not a whole lot of AP power, but it does offer a champion that will not get caught as easily by the Bard. So pretty much all expectations are out the table with this new patch so far. Learned our lesson in this first draft, and two exciting compositions with two quite different identities.
Yeah, the Orianna looking to be locked in. No tricks this time around. And lots of engage opportunities. You got the Gragas, you got the Renekton hopping on in. You can set it up with the Tempered Fate. Looking to take Cleanse here, it looks like, up against the Shen Elise combination,
as well as Jhin and Braum.
Yeah.
So it's a wise summoner spell to take, because so much of Ever's early game is gonna rely on Malrang. If he can find windows to gank and do so often with success, then the composition from Ever with double ADs, if this Lucian gets going, he's going to be completely unstoppable. When you have a Stand United to back him up, then you have Braum's Unbreakable with the backup from Duel to be able to assist from far away. This is a comp that can snowball rapidly and never look back, whereas the ROX Tigers, they do have Gragas to help ease the early game and go for some good counter ganks and avoid aggression with Key's magical journey. But if the late game is to come at an even pace, I do have to favor the ROX Tigers here when they do have Gragas, Orianna, and Caitlyn.
Yeah, the ROX Tigers looking to take things late and looking for their first win streak in a row. They've had 2 wins, but haven't been able to get 2 in a row. And up against Ever, they're looking to really separate themselves from the very bottom of the pack, which seems to be MVP and Ever right now.
I don't know. I feel like 2 games in a row for a win streak is grasping at straws there for the ROX
Well, you got to start somewhere, right?
I see them more as the kid in the pool that's trying to throw somebody's head deeper in so that they can grasp for some air. A win here would secure them a spot certainly above MVP, as well as Ever, and likely would not have to worry about relegation come in the second half of LCK Summer.
Yeah, this is almost a relegation fight when you put it at that. It's just trying to separate themselves in that way. So guys, you can see the compositions for both of these teams, and we're getting ready to start up Ever8 winners versus the ROX Tigers. Game number 1, let's hop onto the Rift. Here we go, starting off game number 1.
Just imagine waking up every day. 1, 2, 3, Valdez fighting, and you wake up.
That would be pretty sick. Just keep your window open.
Yeah.
It's like you've got your own cheering squad. That might be what it's like to be a celebrity, but I think in a more creepy sense, with people waiting outside your window, waiting for you to exit so they can take pictures of you.
As long as they cheer for me, I'd be okay. That start from Duel here, Boots. And Sunday, you might have looked at these starting items and wondered, all right, everybody's packing D shields. This time around, however, only Helper has Doran shields, and that is because at long last, the item has been nerfed. It now costs 450 gold, so you can only have it with 1 potion, and nobody really wants to make the most out of that, and we are going to see a cute steal here for some camps.
Could be in a little, no, not going to be in trouble. It's just, they come in there, they steal a couple of the Raptors, I think actually 3 in total. 1 over to Lucian and 2 on the Shen, so pretty significant, but not getting caught in the same breath. Mighty Bear is still level 1.
And it's really awkward to be a Gragas having to do 2 camps now at level 1 when you have Elise. The faster she gets those levels, the quicker she's in the jungle now that she can actually have access to her Neurotoxin Venomous Bite. And now she's already on her 3rd camp, whereas Gragas is still level 1, just barely finishing Wolves.
See Mickey respecting the level 2 from Lucian. Just running away from that one. And with that pressure that he's putting on, you can see actually Septed able to get this ward down at the blue. It's going to give him a really nice look at the timing of Gragas and exactly what he did. And here comes Malrong.
This could be risky as bottom lane is pushing in. So mid lane has to push in, and as long as Septed can assist on this steal, then all should be well forever.
Coming on in, here's Malrong, gonna land that cocoon. Mighty Bear with the smite, but the follow-up smite from Malrong. Will this be the first blood? No. They do get the flash out of Mighty Bear, and his jungle is pretty wrecked right now.
And Mighty Bear just failed to read that move. You saw Lucian literally leave the lane and return with a perfect timing of a ward that you could only assume would be on that side, considering the strategy that Ever applied was get the Gragas behind early game. That's why they contested that Raptor camp so heavily. Septed took so much damage on that they didn't want to just take damage for free. It's all a plan. It's all for one reason, and as such, Mighty Bear gets punished. And if Gragas fails to have a good early game, so much of the pressure that these lanes can offer and transition into a strong team fighting phase rely on him. And if he's not capable of doing anything, Malrang's early game can take over a game entirely.
I'm curious to see exactly what he's going to do after taking the whole right side of the jungle away from Mighty Bear. Looks like just more farming for him, wants to pick up that red buff.
I always get so sad when you see a jungler have to base and first purchase is a Hunter's Potion. Completely unnecessary to jungle, only in situations where you're so far behind that you just have to go for it. And at least he affords a control ward, and you can tell what the pace of the game is so far when the first control ward coming out is going to be a pretty defensive one on a top side matchup that you expect to be winning with Renekton into Shen.
And so far it's pretty even. It is pushing into Helper, but he's done a good job farming underneath that turret. But here comes Malrong, and there's no ward, and immediately you can see Helper, he's forcing this fight. Linderong with the slice and dice away. The flash stunt is actually going to hit, and the cocoon follow-up will be first blood going over to Malrong.
And Linderong gets so greedy trying to fight Shen when he was clearly winning that battle. Helper wouldn't fight you if he just wants to lose the lane on purpose. There is some help coming on his way, so as such, they walk away with first blood, and the Malrong early game is happening now. This is why Elise is one of the most hotly contested junglers in the game besides Zac. She's your #1 go-to girl, and for a good reason.
Yeah, Malrong, we're finally seeing him have a big impact early on in the game. And yeah, I mean, Ever8 off to a pretty good start here against the Tigers. We were favoring the Tigers, but obviously the early game pressure of this Elise is paying off. You can also see, well, actually, let's take a look at this replay first.
So here, Helper's clearly fighting in the wave, and he tries to go for the second slice and dice, but I believe he uses it too late, just being too greedy with his abilities. Could have escaped out of that with his life. As such, ends up paying for it. And I wanted to shed some light on the bottom lane here when we see Jin going with boots at his first item. And here's Elise. She's got Mobius.
Yeah, Moby's coming on in, and the flash away already from Songyun. Magical Journey up against that wall. Songyun is going to try to flash into it, but the follow-up cocoon will be another kill going over to your main girl, Elise.
Oh, she's off to a fantastic start. Great purchase there for the boots, and we're talking about duels boots, where it's going to help him get out of key, and Songyun's harassed by staying at a decent range as Jin can do so with his passive that lets him go faster. But now that Elise has boots, it's so difficult to account where she's going, and now she's in mid.
Oh, and the exhaust coming down from Septed. Malrong looking for that repel on in, and there's just nothing here for Mickey. He has no summoners, even Shen coming in just to make sure. And they're going to give the kill over to Helper even. And that's going to be a third kill that Malrong has been part of.
Spreading the love. Make sure that Shen gets something for his troubles, and assisting with again. Completely unnecessary, but he didn't lose out on anything in the top side. So now he's going to be in an even better spot against the Renekton, who already died in the early game. And ROX Tigers need to start doing complete damage control, because this early game is going so far Ever's way, and it has no signs of stopping. And as long as this continues and objectives start going their way, this game could be over in 30 minutes.
And you can see Mighty Bear is hanging around. We'll see. Oh, the flash body slam lands onto Ella. And you're not really going to find much after that as a follow-up onto Braum.
Oh boy, it's like Mighty Bears playing Zach all over again. That was just such a poor attempt. That's a Braum that you're dealing with. Remember that Unbreakable can block so much of not just Graga's abilities, but Bard's as well. And here we have Malrang waiting for a gank onto the mid lane. As soon as Mickey steps up, he's just going to rappel onto them, go for that good cocoon. He's so close to dying.
Looking forward, just going for the straight cocoon, the max range. They will jump on in. Nice shockwave is dodged, though, by the repel. Scepted this time, able to pick up the kill.
Oh, the Malrang show. It takes 4 kills to get him to do a half smile. What more does he want?
Yeah, this guy, you know, one of those emotionless kind of death stare jungle killers, and he's doing exactly that in this game. Making it look pretty easy.
Now he gets to deny the Raptor camp, clears out that first control ward that was initially laid down. And because Orianna is not there, he's going to get himself a good red buff steal now, getting some deep vision in this side. Oh, could we perhaps see a dive on top? Yes, we are.
Look at this. Big Wave is already pushing in. And there's just no real response. Okay, we have Mighty Bear coming up now, but I can't help but feel he's a little bit too late. This taunt into the cocoon, the easiest setup you've ever seen. And that's going to be another kill going over to Ever8.
It's like they're playing against bots. ROX has no answer anywhere. They're just sitting at turrets, dying left, right, and center. And there's not much for them to do. They need to get some side of the map. And first brick going down at 9 minutes. Holy moly, 4,000 gold up and 5 kills in their advance this early on.
The ROX Tigers fans in the audience just saying, not like this. Not like this.
Not what we expected.
Yeah, very dominant early game. And they did give that Elise over to Malrang. You know, we were expecting him perhaps to pick up the Elise in, but when you leave the Elise open and Malrang gets this good of an early game, he is going to run away with it.
And the composition just fits the early game motto so well between Braum, Shen, and Lucian in the mid lane. Here's that gank in mid, waiting for Mickey to use his abilities, but no chance of, didn't even try to sidestep. That's what I was initially thinking. Malrang would have just repelled in to get closer to lower the chances of any dodging, but Mickey just walks in a straight line, almost like he has a little train track there, ends up getting hit by the cocoon right at the end, and now we got a lane swap. This could mean that Ever could result with another turret advantage and a Cloud Dragon, so they're going to walk away victorious in this trade that ROX is initiating.
Yeah, you can see the immediate response. They're trying to put on pressure onto the blue buff side, get some wards down, and they do see the lane swap now, as Ki and Sangin have shown top. Some pings going down, immediate rotation over to that bottom turret. Going to begin pushing that in.
So Helper is not going to greed out and try to defend this turret, wisely so.
Just lets that go. Already Yomu's completed here on Scepted, and Mickey, he's got a Scepter's, he's got an arm guard here. Seeker's arm guard, that's what it's called, and kind of just sitting back, 0-2. Trying not to die to this Lucian.
Oh, and wait a minute. This has now evolved into a 2-turret trade. This is helping ROX Tigers more than it does Ever. Increasing the total gold will only help stall out the game even more. It does allow Scepter to snowball so hard with that Yomu's, a build that typically it's Blade of the Ruined King. So he goes Yomu's, and now Mickey's just 0-3-0 with no chance of damage itemization anytime soon as he's got a Seekers.
I mean, you're running up to Illusion that's 2-0-1 with a Yomu's completed. You have basically no items. You don't have your flash yet, and you're like, hey, let's start a fight. That was what was going through Mickey's mind. He's gonna pay for it. They're gonna lose mid-tier 1.
And now 11 minutes and 30 seconds in, he's buying a refillable potion. I don't know about that purchase right now. And what initially was a trade that ROX Tigers could have walked away with an advantage, increasing the total gold and having Mickey stay mid lane without dying. Just farm it out. You know you're going to lose this lane against Lucian. Now Ever is able to get 2 turrets in the bottom, the dragon, the chunk out mid turret. I believe they did not. No, they did not get the turret. Yep, they did do some chunk damage, and now they're in a position to trade that Herald. Had Mickey not died, they might have been able to even get the Herald themselves.
The mid-tier 1, they did take that down.
Wait a minute. Oh yeah, my bad. I'm looking at the whoopsie daisy.
Yeah. Well, The next objective that's coming up here is that Rift Herald, obviously, and there is a bit of vision in the pit for the Tigers. You can see a bunch of pings that did go down towards that Rift Herald. They know that will be a focus here for Ever8 after taking down all of those turrets. The question is, when do Ever8 really want to make a move towards that, take it out? Looks like the answer is now.
Once they get some lane control, they need Chen to start pushing into the bottom lane. But here's where the danger comes of winning an early game so hard, because now there are so little objectives left on the map that sieging for the later objectives is a bit tougher without the later itemization and levels. So using this Rift Herald will likely have to be used on an inner tier 2, which takes much more setup than for a tier 1.
You can see everybody from ROX is trying to set up a counterplay. The traps going down some deeper control wards into the pixel brush here. And unfortunately, Malrang, he had the sweeper, but he missed the one ward in the pit. So they saw him start it. And that gave ROX the information they needed to put in that counterplay.
It was wise from ROX to move many members that they had onto the mid lane to at least threaten to have control of that side. And we have an attempt on P.
Ooh, just barely not going to be close enough. Although he is jumping on in. Here's Helper with the Stand United trying to make a play. Does miss the taunt, it looks like, onto Songyun. Coming on in, the big knock up, and it looks like Songyun will be the one member to go down on that big chase. And maybe this time they can go for the Rift Herald.
That's a huge commitment to get 180 carry and no objective in sight. It's not going to be the way that Ever wants to play this game. But if they can stabilize and get an objective out of this right now, which should be the Rift Herald, it will all be good. Here we go again. Malrang will open up, missing the cocoon, and the calling goes on Songyun, but they take the magical journey, which lets them have a straight route onto Songyun. And here's where Ella comes in as the hero of this one with the flash, glacial fissure, making sure that Caitlyn does not get out alive.
So they do set up this Rift Herald. You can see that ROX is not confident to take this as Songyun just respawned, is up in the top lane. Just going to have to hand this one over. And you were talking about, hey, there's not any more of these outer turrets. It's going to be hard to get the inner ones, but at least the Rift Herald will make things a little bit easier to push on in.
Exactly. This Rift Herald will now require a 2-lane setup to be used into the mid lane effectively. You have tremendous wave clear between Gragas, Orianna, and Caitlyn. So the Tigers certainly have the tools to stall out this game if they desire to just play it passively, which is what they should be doing. They severely lack damage items to actually take down anybody if they get caught. So you always have to consider the Stand United on top of everything else, as well as maybe even Braum being able to make it into the fight and protecting his allies. And forever, they do have an Infernal Dragon coming up next, and that dragon, when you have 280 carries, is a powerful objective.
Yeah, and even that first Cloud Drake, I mean, you already have the Moby Boots for Elise. She's just flying around the map right now. Always going to be in good position, setting up those picks that they need to continue getting, you know, continue accelerating the game with the Stand United and the follow-up from the rest of the team.
All of Summoner's Rift is her spider web now. They're all in her web.
She set it up from the beginning, trapped everyone in here.
It's like the spiders in my house. You know, I used to have a Black Widow infestation one day.
That sounds terrible. And Helper in a pretty terrible spot here. We'll see if his team can get over. Does lay down that zone. Can't get hit for a while, but he's all alone against 4. And Ever8, they're just going to leave him to the wolves.
He's just wandering out into the jungle, trying to go for a casual stroll. In the meantime, it's a 2-man attempt topside. And ROX members are responding to this as Orianna is left alone as Elise is here. Remember that Herald did get popped in that topside, but it doesn't look like it's going to yield them a tier 2.
Pretty close. They can definitely rotate over there a little bit later on and take that out. Did a nice chunk of damage. Not just the headbutt, a little bit extra as well.
Gold lead hasn't grown too much. Remember, at 9 minutes in, we were at a 4K gold lead. So 7 minutes later, roughly about the same. That's why the objective focus now is much tougher for Ever, because they don't have ways to rotate properly and go for crazy dives. So they have to severely value pushing lanes, denying CS, denying jungle control, and not looking for kills. Any pick that they give away will favor the ROX Tigers. Remember that when they played against MVP, they were in a similar situation, not quite as dire as it is this time around against Ever, but they were able to keep their composure, keep their wits about them in their late game, and when they hit the right itemization, they were able to bounce back and win back a game. So while it might seem that Ever is clearly in control, ROX Tigers still have an option to win.
Yeah, definitely some focus will come in as the Infernal Drake spawns and the Baron eventually makes it onto the field. I know this game has accelerated so fast that the Baron hasn't even spawned. We're only at 18 minutes, but once that does come up, we could see Ever8 trying to get that as fast as possible to continue pushing, try to end this game as fast as possible.
I like the move here by ROX Tigers, choosing to trade objectives. Last time around, they won a game against Double Infernal and Double Mountain. So the Dragons, they've learned, don't matter all that much. They just need to answer every play that Ever make. As long as they are getting something in return, the actual value of it doesn't matter too much. They just need to have a certain proactivity to them if they still want to have a chance in this game. And it looks like they're picking on Helper as that level of proactivity.
Well, he's shown that he is perhaps the weak link so far. Looking to land that stun. They do get it into the Tempered Fate. Nice setup here from Key. Can they follow up? Looks like they should be able to get this kill. Let's see the response from Ever8 on the rest of the team. Looks like they're going for that mid-tier 2.
It was a beautiful attempt onto mid there, going for that gank. Looked great using that flash initially, but they're going to lose that tier 2 into the mid lane. And gotta say, that's not worth it. For Ever now, they're in a much better position to set up for a Baron in the next minute.
When ganks go wrong, part 2. And they do get the kill, but definitely not worth it in the end.
Now they're going to have to fight with all they've got for the vision around the red side. They can scout decently between Caitlyn traps and Orianna and Gragas barrel, so it's not the end of the world when they don't have the tier 2 onto the mid lane, but it makes matters much more difficult.
You can see that ROX, they've been really focusing on setting up vision around that bottom side, you know, right below Baron. Ever8 really hasn't been doing too good of a job setting up vision there. The ROX Tigers have denied it for quite a while. And that's really what set up that gank onto Helper just a couple of minutes ago. But you can see now Ella and looks like Malrong and even Septed coming in. And they're going to do a team clear of all the vision that the ROX Tigers just put on just as the Baron spawns. Exactly.
This is a good move by them, and they can 4-man it without Shen being there, as Braum and Elise can tank it decently well. There's also the your AD carries that can weave in and out with little to no effort. But remember that when you're dealing with a global, what the ROX Tigers are doing is the typical proper response. You go to the source of the global as opposed to going somewhere else and trying to deny it. Remember that a global ability typically is not as powerful as most combats ultimates. You have Shen who basically just teleports into the fight with a weakened shield if it's not on a low HP target, and that doesn't offer much value in a fight, whereas you have champions like Renekton and Dominus is a much bigger, powerful team fighting tool. So by going to the source of the global, you ensure that he doesn't get any value of that and you don't get surprised.
See, they've thrown Septed top to begin pushing that in. I was talking a little bit earlier about that really low top tier 2 turret. It looks like Septed really wants to pressure on there. And Malrong's kind of just on vision clearing duty around this red side. Clear up as many wards as possible. Maybe you can set up a pick into a Baron. And there were some pings onto some deep wards that the ROX Tigers had in the blue side jungle of Ever8, but those wards are gone now, and I think it's going to be pretty hard to set up a ward like that in the future here.
And the vision for Ever around Baron is as shallow as a kiddie pool. They only have as far as the blast cone. That is not going to allow them to rush, sneak, or do anything around Baron. They need to get some control around the lanes before they do so, and they need numbers advantage for it.
Oh, dual force to flash, the Tempered Fate. Key really trying to set up stuff for his team. Oh, Mighty Bear himself actually forced to flash the deadly flourish. So flash for flash there, I suppose, but definitely duel with no escape now on that Jhin. But here we go, the Baron is started. No vision right now, but it seems like the ROX Tigers are aware of this. Down comes a ward. Looks like they'll just back off of that.
And if they had deeper ward, they could have pulled back earlier and not have Malrang take that much damage. That's the value of having deeper ward. You see the information sooner, you can make the response faster, and therefore always be one step ahead. And now Mighty Bear and the rest of the ROX Tigers squad is in a perfectly fine position to stall out this game. Items are coming in left, right, and center. The advantages, again, 4,000 gold lead has not grown in 13 minutes.
Definitely a bit of a problem here. I'm curious to see what Sion is going to go for up next. Will be that rapid fire cannon. So she's getting pretty close. Once she does pick up that Infinity Edge, afterwards she is going to begin hitting like a truck on this Caitlyn already, especially with the traps in the net.
Yeah, that Elise, if she gets caught out, she's going to get just squatted out like a bug. She does not have any armor and is not building anytime soon.
Okay, Ella with the face check. Seems to be okay as Septed is going in. Will flash the shockwave. Mickey in a lot of trouble here. Teleport even used, forced to cancel. So Mickey once again caught out in the top lane.
Great moves there by Septed, using both his summoners to get out of that situation. Force Mickey into a tough choice. There's a TP coming up top, but they still have Mighty Bear to force a steal or threat.
Well, they get that Scuttle Crab too, so they'll know exactly when this has started. You can see that the ROX Tigers, or rather Ever8, they're not really looking for that Baron. They're looking for more picks in the mid lane, trying to catch Mighty Bear if they can.
All they're going to get for their troubles on that pick on Mickey is going to be that tier 2 as Helper continues to push this top side. But remember, in the match against MVP, it was key, that was critical for ROX's success. They stalled out the game with his Tempered Fates, with his magical journeys to make sure they were in a position into the late game. That's what's been happening so far. Key has been spearheading the charge for ROX Tigers if they are to make a comeback. And now the gold lead's starting to grow for Septed and the rest of the Ever8 squad as they have acquired that tier 2. They need to get some deep vision now, but that dragon is going to come up next.
Yeah, we got another Cloud Drake, and we were talking about already how fast Malrang is moving across the map. Oh boy, Mighty Bear. Eating a little bit of damage. Body slamming the Baron all by himself. But if Ever8 can pick up a second Cloud Drake, that's going to get a little bit out of hand already.
I think they'd go for the Cloud Drake if they get Baron first, if they wipe the rest of the ROX Tigers. ROX Tigers has already shown that they do not give any cares about this dragon. They have no issues playing the game out no matter what dragons go Ever's way. So as such, Ever needs to respond and think about why they're doing that. Why are they ignoring the dragon calls? Well, because Baron's really the only objective that will crack the base for the ROX Tigers. Their base turrets are still completely healthy, and while Malrang is going to take this Cloud Dragon, the opportunity cost is going to be that vision now is reinforced around the red side for the ROX Tigers. It's going to be that much harder for them to actually get in there and start getting vision that will allow them to go for a Baron. And while it's going to be a Mountain Dragon up next, the cost of buying more time for a late game comp such as ROX's can come to bite them back.
Yeah, just as you say, Ever8 has to be really careful about just getting lackadaisical here and just sitting back, not putting on the pressure, getting another Cloud Drake. It's nice, but you know, you really like that Baron. And here comes Ella, finally trying to push on in all by his lonesome. And you're talking about going for the globals. They're going for Linderong's teleport here. Can they take him out? Looks like he will flash the wall. Cullen coming out, and Septed will get that kill off of the back of that. And that is a nice pickup for them. We'll see if they do anything with it.
Yeah, Linderong quite overextended there, not respecting that the dragon had been taken earlier and the MIA call on Septed. They still don't have much vision around red side.
Oh, look at this. Mickey all by his lonesome again. Gets caught out. Now sitting at 0-5. Poor brother Mickey.
All right, well, I guess ROX Tigers just decided to abandon the game plan. Ever8 just abusing everything that they get thrown at them, and as such, this Baron should go their way. As long as Helper and Ella zone out Gragas and there is no steal, then this one can be written down in the books.
Yeah, got to take down that Baron. Nice little smite to secure it by Malrang. And now finally the gold lead has increased.
It's always so sad though when you see that the strategy is there, that the teams are trying for it, and then it all collapses when two members just get picked off with no reason.
I mean, we're going to get another look at this, and he just tries to fight Balrog. He doesn't respect the flash. I mean, Orianna Shockwave is one of the most famously flashed abilities in the game. Everybody flashes it, and you've got to know that Balrog will have his flash, and that he's sitting at 2-0-4
and there's
with a Leandries and a Banshees.
There is a Stand United Shen that just killed Renekton. There is no chance of him winning this fight. This is a Fed Elise, so ROX just collapsing everywhere.
Yeah. Whenever I watch Mickey, he really gives me that solo queue vibe, where it's like, at times he can really pop off. His mechanics are really fantastic. I mean, everybody knows him for that. He is a great player in terms of mechanics, but sometimes just not respecting the game situation and just saying, no, I'm okay, you know, I'm really confident, I can take this fight. I've got Zhonya's, right? I should be okay, right? Well, no, not in this situation.
Exactly. Game awareness of what's currently happening was critical there. Any other time, Orianna versus Elise, that's a perfectly fine, but she's 0-5, the map is not theirs, and now not even their tier 3 bottom is theirs.
Well, I have a feeling their base is going to be taken away from them soon as the setup truly comes in. I mean, the Caitlyn has just not been given enough time to really pop off. We do see her pick up the Infinity Edge, but I don't know. I think it's just too late with the Baron buff and pushing into inhibitors already.
They have a triple item Orianna, so they need a crazy shockwave if they are to win this one.
That's really the play. When you're going up against a Braum, it's not going to be all that easy. Fella is on point with that. And there you go. Bot inhibitor is down. The top turret already taking a little bit of damage. Nice traps set up here by Songyun, really going to discourage any further pushing out of Ever, but they've still got a minute 15 on this Baron, so they're going to push somewhere.
And now they've decided to go for 2 lanes of pushing, with Lucian going back into the top set, and 2 inhibitors I think would be too much for ROX to handle this time around, as this snowball has already taken its place with a 10,000 gold.
Oh, Mickey going to get locked down. Doesn't look to be a follow-up though.
Look at Mighty Bear's mana. All right, so he has to base right now, but there's no need for him to stay. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay. Just going to shut that down with the Tempered Fate. Duel trying to open things up, open this inhibitor up if possible. Helper eating a bit of damage, but you could see that double push coming in. ROX really struggling with this. It looks like Balrog in the mid lane. Okay, the flash coming in, trying to land that taunt, rather the stun, and Braum just easily able to disengage the fight, just back off.
That was just so poorly coordinated.
Oh, okay, we got Stand United coming out onto Duel after he flashes that, but Helper, he's just coming back from the base, does land that taunt. That's going to be the second inhibitor going down for the ROX Tigers.
Yeah, like this engage just has no coordination. None of their abilities are have even tried to be used in synergy with each other. They have a great wombo if they utilize it well, but not even, maybe they don't even notice what they have with their composition. But I was mentioning Mighty Bear's mana in the initial push. With mana like this, which is what he had on the defense, Ever feels completely safe defending this engage, because that means that Gragas will only provide slam and 1 cast, if that. So they understand the tools that ROX is bringing to the table, and they're not fully charged, so they feel comfortable stepping up. There is no threat to these AD carries when the main engages don't have enough resources in them to actually get a decent engage off.
Yeah, so now we're sitting on a 10,000 gold lead key. He might have stepped 1 step too far. He is going to be taken out here. Septed now legendary. 6-0-2. Just hiding in the brushes, picking off 1 weak ROX member at a time.
Now it's all about going into the mid lane. This turret's already half down. If they are able to get 1 crit from Duel onto this turret, it will go down. He's got a bit of a window there. He can sneak through the trap line, but that is just not necessary at this stage in the game, to just wait for the waves and nothing more. You have 15 seconds with key being down.
Ella at this point really Secure to just step on some traps too. And there it is, opened up the curtain call. Coming from the right side is Septon and Helper looking to take out some more members. Helper though, maybe going a little bit too far. Looks like he will survive though, and they get the turret, which is really what they're looking for.
What a great move from Ella there, dropping that unbreakable final moment to deny the cast from Mighty Bear. The wards, he's trolling. He's trolling, he's trolling. Did he just ult his own wards? No, it's the double wards from Duel, from Ever. The double control wards.
Well, taking out a Mountain Drake now. We have to have the Tigers basically just sitting in their base now. And Baron coming up in about a minute. Looks like maybe Ever just going to go ahead, recall, buy some items, go for that, and end the game.
They played great for what they had, but such an uninspiring performance from the ROX Tigers. It felt like they, besides the moves they made into the top side for that tier 2 trade, they didn't really do much else. Like, Key was trying to get some picks off, but Mickey and Linderang just had none of it. They just kept feeding and feeding, and now, as a result, they're looking at a sub 40-minute loss with a late game composition that has great stalling tools.
Mighty Bear looking to add to the feed crew, but he will get out. Totally fine. And yeah, just setting up the deep vision. I mean, the ROX Tigers, they can't even get close to that Baron right now. And look at that, they're setting something up in the brush, trying to get onto Sept. They will land that. The immediate stand united, but he will get taken out into the cast. You see that Tempered Fate into the Shockwave. Is this the return of the ROX Tigers?
Oh my god.
That's going to be 4 kills going over to the ROX Tigers as they do defend their base for now, although they have lost a Nexus turret.
This is exactly why you don't siege when you're in this position, when you're 10 seconds for Baron to spawn. A lost fight would give ROX Tigers Baron and stall out the game. And Septon goes to the face. Why use your trinket there instead of on the brush he's about to face check? A great engage, a fantastic Bard stun into a follow-up or Shockwave, and now they're looking at a Baron. If this doesn't get stolen, ROX Tigers has a new lease on life.
Balrog looking for it. It looks like he's decided against it. He doesn't have any vision, and he's just going to let that one go. So the ROX Tigers do pick up Baron, but again, in the base, there are no more Nexus turrets, so got to deal with that at the same time.
My god, it's like the League of Legends have turned the tables, and now they're basically MVP from last time they played. They got no base, just a late game composition with a Kaylin trying to stall out this game. Are they going to be able to do so? I'm not so sure, but they have 4 minutes now. There's no way Ever can push into this base, into Baron creep. They can try to rush the Nexus, but that would be bold.
You got to pull a Longju, right? They just don't have a Kled on their team. That's part of the problem. No charge into the Nexus for Ever8 this time around.
Look at the items now. Mickey's got a death cap completed. That Caitlyn's got armor penetration, waiting for one final item. They're a real threat now.
Ever8 is a couple of mistakes from throwing this game right back to the ROX Tigers. I mean, if they get all 3 inhibitors up and they get another team wipe, we could see a bunch of the mid lane turrets going down, gold evened up, and then that late game composition finally coming through for the ROX Tigers. Just due to one mistake, pushing down mid.
In the most unreal fashion.
Yeah. This was not supposed to happen.
I think it was 11-2 with only with no turrets left. Baron in 10 seconds forever.
Yeah. All you do is back up. You head to the Baron, you take it, and you push. You win. Well, guys, if you're enjoying this game, I have good news for you. We do have the Telecom Wars later on. We didn't really mention that just yet. Want to give respect to these teams as well, but I know a lot of you guys are waiting for that matchup at the same time while tuning in early. Shout outs to you guys. And here we go, Ever8. They're pushing in, but look at this Tempered Fate. That's another 2 members taken out. Will we see a Shockwave follow-up? Looks like it will just go on to Ella, who is taken out. But again, Key does feed himself, so trading 1 for 1. Both the supports going down.
Remember, anytime that Tempered Fate gets used, it's the cue for Duel to use his own ultimate completely undeterred. So he opens up from the side and is able to take out Key. But no flashes were used on that one except for Mighty Bears. Critical for taking out these carries. And now next fight, they're not going to be able... he's not going to be able to engage with his slam. And we'll take another look here. It's Helper getting a little bit greedy. Goes with a taunt in with Mickey's right there, so he immediately gets chunked out. Forced to flash. My bad, he did use his own flash. But see, second Tempered Fate goes out. He uses his own ultimate, and Key trying to run away from the Cole on one side, ends up getting crit by the other.
Yeah, just getting rocked straight to the dome. But yeah, I mean, Helper, again, he didn't have to go almost up to the Nexus and taunt a Renekton, right? This is just some game sense mistakes coming out of both teams.
They're extending the mistake that happened around Baron, right? Because when Baron gets stolen, you need to recognize that you're no longer capable of sieging. The siege is over. You have to wait for that Baron now. No matter how strong you are, it's Baron empowered minions coming the other way, and you don't even have super creeps on your own side. So instead of trying to stall out and think of a new way minutes down the line, they greed out, go into the mid lane, and now Mighty Bear and the rest of ROX Tigers feel comfortable leaving this base.
So Ever8 right now, they're extremely spread out. They've got Jhin in the bot lane, Lucian in the top lane, 3 members in mid, and Helper is staying in mid. He's not even the one that's kind of split pushing right now.
Don't want to get into a base race situation. Even though you do have AD carries that can crack down turrets, when it comes to stalling out bases and you're dealing against Bard, no chance.
Oh boy, they don't see him though. They don't know that he's there, but Duel was just behind enemy lines there for just a couple seconds.
Just assume that he recalled, and meanwhile, Scepted continues to push topside, and remember, they're stand united. He should not greed out here.
0 gold difference on the Baron power play. Scepted not going in, and with everybody rotating top from the ROX Tigers and no respect for the Elder Drake, they will just have to give it up. Malrong gonna pick that up for his team, and they have 4 Elemental Drakes, so this is gonna be quite strong.
This Elder, while powerful, it has to come down to the Cole. That's where most of the damage is going to come from on this burn. The serious burn damage will come out from Scepted if he uses that. Just tries to spread it on as many members as possible. They're not going to be able to withstand that ability. Remember that you want to have AoE damage when you have this ability, not the individual single target. So at least his volatile spiderlings will do so. And oh yeah, that's well, if you're a cowboy, you do have 2 guns. So I believe Jhin does have a saloon skin.
I mean, that's quite interesting, the double rapid fire cannon. It's interesting that they're called cannons too. Kind of look like pistols. How can you dual wield that while carrying 2 swords and a crossbow?
I mean, a static shiv would have been a bit better there, but not maybe just a misclick. Also want to entertain the possibility that this is some insane next level build, such as the ones, remember when we were seeing triple Infinity Edge Gangplank? I doubt it's to the same level that this is, but perhaps he knows something we don't.
Perhaps. Well, here we go. The push coming in onto that inhibitor. Cocoon gonna land onto Key. Just the slow push. 1 chunk at a time. Nobody go too far. And interesting that they're going as 5 into the bot lane. Uh-oh, Mickey gonna be forced to blow that cleanse, and even the redemption coming out from the side of the ROX Tigers. Tempered Fate going to be used to shut this down. Just 1 small hit onto Mighty Bear. Does go off from the curtain call. Mickey, though, pretty low. Really nice shockwave onto Duel, but he's going to pay for it as Scepted runs in and takes him out. Here's Helper in the front, looking to tank for his team. Linderong all alone, going to be stun locked for basically 5 seconds and taken out. And that should be the end of the game.
Mickey.
Okay, well, hold that thought. They're going on in. They will take out Key, and Songyun is the real Key. And they do take him out, and down goes the Nexus. Game number 1 in 41 minutes to Ever8.
Sides of relief there on the side of Ever. What should have been a completely one-sided affair ends up taking a detour for the worse. However, they are able to pull it through with a little bit of help from Mickey instead of playing a bit far back or even going to base, waiting for anything. I don't think we even saw him use his Zhonya's, to be honest. So a purchase that did not amount to much.
I didn't see it. I don't know what you saw, but I don't know what the others saw.
Things today in that match.
Yeah, we've all seen quite a bit today.
Double infinity, double rapid fire. Banner of command on Gragas at the end, and the ROX Tigers are a bit stunned there. The game, they had no say in this game. This was completely the Ever show. Even when the ROX Tigers had any semblance of winning this game, it came at the mistake of Ever.
Yeah, Ever just pushing it in, doing a good job with the lead that they have. You know, credit to Malrong for getting them that really early lead and the help that he had from Septid, getting that vision down. And even the early move onto the Raptors, that's what started it all.
It was such a well thought out strategy early on. This is how they played in the Challenger Series in the promotion tournament. They're able to push out early lanes. They can establish an advantage in the jungle and let Malrang take over the early game. Allow your lanes to flourish when you have a jungler that can just obliterate the rest of the map. And they went back to what worked for them before, and it's refreshing to see that finally they're finding their stride in what seemed just a turbulent round for them. In a 1-7 record, they completely smashed the ROX Tigers.
Dat max range cocoon.
He didn't even dodge it. He could have walked Decepted, walked the other way.
He accepted his fate, I suppose. And Songyun getting sniped out here by Duel in the end.
ROX had the tools to stall out. This is the one good move they made, which Ever gets a bit greedy, and this is great. This is exactly what you wanted to see out of this composition, fighting for vision around the red side. This is an equivalent of fighting for vision, just a little bit closer to the lane, and that's where they were able to get a Baron. And this time around, while it could have been a pick, he gets a bit out of position there. He could have just sat behind your AD carry or taken the Cole. Cole was not going to do as much damage as the fourth shot out of that Jhin.
And kind of the final push here.
Here comes Mickey, so wait for him. He's going to see the opening because Unbreakable is not up, so he gets the ball in time, but then the crits from Septid were just nasty.
Couldn't Zhonya's in time, I suppose, when you die in less than a second.
Even if you Zhonya's there, you're going to rely on the rest of the team to boulder forward and make sure that you can protect yourself when you come out of that stasis.
So Ever8 with the 4 Drakes, including the Elder at the end, and tons of damage goes over to Septid. And there you have it, 41-minute game when, you know, it was super accelerated early on before 20 minutes, but then took a while to end it.
Yeah, and it was honestly Linderang and Mickey getting caught out that stalled out the game. I don't think Ever was showing many signs of a proper vision around Baron. The game could have likely stalled out to this game with even less of a gold deficit, but ROX decided to give it away.
So guys, we're going to take a quick 8-minute commercial break. When we come back, game number 2 of the ROX Tigers versus Ever8 winners. Stay tuned.